YouTube, good morning followers. Happy Monday. This is Jason with the Tactical Data Desk coming to you just about 8:48 a.m. on Monday, March 16th, 2026 with your free GEX exposure and gamma levels for your indices and a few tickers. Some major structural shifts happened over the weekend and after Friday. Let's walk through those to get you ready for your trading day. The Great Divergence, I call it, the broad market versus the tech fortress. Let's look at this. If you look at SPY, we've got 2.91 billion of negative GEX exposure. NVDA, 510 million of positive GEX exposure. IWM, 2.15 billion of net negative GEX. Tesla, 67 million of net positive GEX. SPX, negative 791 negative net GEX. NDX, just barely positive GEX. The indices are heavily burdened by negative gamma, but a couple of high beta tech stocks are positive gamma right now. What's that going to mean for today's trading? Let's look at SPY. The call wall right now is at 670 and the put wall is at 660 with a spot price around this morning when I pulled this of 660.80. So dealers are short calls at 670 and they're short puts at 660. I'm calling this the no man's land. Before you make any trades, if you want to buy long calls or long puts, let's see if we can break above 670 or 660. If you want to watch the options flow and the volume at below or above 670 and 660, you could do some iron condors or some short bull put credit spreads below 660 if we get close to 660. There's a lot of negative net GEX and a lot of negative net Vanna. So Vanna is what fuels gamma squeezes. If we get an IV crush, as if IV shrinks, then dealers have to buy, and that's what fuels gamma squeezes. If you're not familiar with that, drop a comment in the comments below, and I can explain that in another chart, in another video. QQQ, the spot when I pulled this was about 598. The net GEX is negative 731 million with positive gamma. So we are looking at a potential gamma squeeze if we get up above 600 and IV starts to drop. We'll watch that today based on the slight positive gamma of NDX. Let's see what happens in QQQ when we get market open and watch the first hour of trading. NVIDIA, call wall's been holding steady at about 190 with the put wall been holding steady at about 180. If you're a fan of NVIDIA and don't mind getting long in NVIDIA, you could sell some credit spreads at 175 or just some short puts at 175 and be pretty confident that those would expire worthless essentially by the end of the week. If we get up to 190 and close above that, that's going to be your bullish signal that NVIDIA might go long. Now, if you want extra confirmation, pull up your options chain on NVIDIA and watch the volume at the calls above 190. And if you watch volume come in heavy at calls above 190 for this week and next week, that's going to signal some good buying above the 190 level in NVIDIA. Tesla, the gravity pin. Guys, check this out. Spot price when I pulled this was 394. Both the put wall and call wall for this week are at the 400 strike. So we're squeezed at about 400. So if we get up around 400 and start closing above that, you can expect some type of gamma squeeze to rise up above 400 for a while. And we can watch the volume on the calls and the options and the net premiums to see what happens if we're going to hold above that. If you like Tesla and want to ride that long and want to play some bull put credit spreads below 390, around 385, 380, you'd probably be good to ride those to expire this week. This is your overall market sentiment. SPY is negative GEX, negative Vanna. Your call wall 670, your put wall 660. I don't trust rallies unless it's above 670 and protect any type of downside below 660 if we break below that. NVIDIA, your support's at 180, your target's 190 if we hit 180. Tesla, we're pinned at 400. Now, let's get out of this and let's look at the GEX exposure for SPX today. All right, the 0 DTE put wall today for SPX is 6,600. That's where we were at yesterday, or Friday, I mean. Actually, Friday we were at 6,600, went to 6,650 and dropped back to 6,600. The call wall is at 6,750. Let's look at this exposure. Here was the spot price. This is as of close Friday, so not current. Remember, it's 8:53 a.m. Look at all this negative GEX exposure here at 660. Huge wall. Minor wall at 6620. Very little GEX exposure, 6635 to 6650. And hardly anything until we get to 6695. So that 6700 line is where we start getting into some positive GEX exposure until we get into negative at 6705. So you see futures are up today. When last time I checked, they were up about 50 plus points. So from that spot, 6680, when I checked ES futures earlier, they were up 6690. I can't tell you that upward momentum is going to hold today, especially with that put wall all the way down to 6600 and the call wall capped at 6750. So if we open up above 6700 today and that holds, you have limited upside above 6750. So if you're trading futures, I would be looking for short trades after market open, especially if we open above 6700 and it continues to climb. I doubt we'd get past 6750. If we touch 6750, watch what happens and wait for confirmation. If we break above 6750, then we're going to have a gamma explosion and the dealers are going to be forced to buy ES futures as institutions start closing their puts at 6600 and start buying these calls at 6750, 6760. And when the dealers are short those calls that they sold to institution, they're going to have to start buying ES futures to hedge that. All right, let's look at the live profile, which isn't live yet, but this is the GEX exposure for 0DTE and the monthly OPEX. Now, we already talked about SPX 0DTE put wall at 6600. Now, this being March 16th, this is OPEX week. This is your monthly expiration week. So your 0DTE put wall is at 6600. But look at your monthly OPEX put wall, which is Friday. It's down to 6500. That's telling me that market makers are expecting some potential downside down to 6500. And with the monthly expiration, the OPEX carries much more weight than 0DTE. The floor is 6500. So don't be surprised if we crawl down to 6500 sometime between today and Friday. I've got my options flow dashboard up. When market opens, this is going to be watching live options flow at the call walls and put walls, and it's going to weight it based on delta, and it's going to tell me how convicted the market makers and institutions are at supporting these walls. I like to know that because I trade futures and I trade SPX credit spreads, and if I see the put wall holding at 6600, I will sell some SPX credit spreads well below that, maybe 65.75 or 65.50. I feel pretty safe knowing that price wouldn't break below that. I don't pay attention to too much. I don't pay attention too much to what the delta is of the short leg I'm selling. I know if you follow Tasty Trade, which is great, they say, oh, you want to sell one standard deviation, 16 delta, 5 delta. I don't pay attention to that. I'm more concerned about where the dealers are hedged, where institutions are hedged, and where the safety net is below that. Let's check out NDX. 0DTE put wall at 24.2. Your monthly put wall is 200 points below that at 2400. RUT, I don't have live data for RUT yet. SPY, put wall, and the monthly OPEX wall, 660. So that's a big place for SPY. So that's where we want to watch SPY. And QQQ, your monthly and 0DTE are at 590. That's the floor for QQQ. This is going to be a very interesting trading day. All right, if you like this free gamma exposure every day, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is all free to you. There are a lot of companies out there that charge up to $300 a month to provide this data for you. The difference is they make it into fancy websites with a lot of marketing and a lot of cool terms. You don't need any of that. I write Python scripts and have live data feeds through APIs that build all this for you. And I like to provide this summary for you guys every day. So I'm getting ready for my trading day. And I hope you guys are too. I will upload a video later to show you how these put walls and call walls have shifted throughout the day, let you know the trades I put on, and we'll summarize that up. So if you like this every morning and it helps you trading, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, this is Jason. I'm a 25 plus year Air Force veteran. I still serve, love to serve. I also love the trading community. Made a lot of friends this way. I hope we can all make a couple extra $100 a day or a week or a month and kind of live the best lives ever. So happy trading, happy Monday. Oh, and let me know what you did over the weekend. I worked on a special project and I'll tell you about that later. All right, guys, air power.